In this session we're going to talk about events. Now, an event is anything that occurs. These are quite important when you're dealing with graphical user interface applications or GUI applications because they are driven by events. Events such as the user clicking a button, moving, dragging something around, mousing over something, etc. These are all events that occur that you want to be listening for so that you can build a responsive application. Now, if you can see here, this is my very simple button application. At the moment, there are actually some built-in events that are handled automatically when you build, say, a basic WPF application. The whole of this clicking title bar that allows me to drag it around, the maximize, minimize, and close buttons, these all have different events. For instance, when I mouse over this button, it changes color. So there's a mouse over event that's occurring there. It also opens the tooltip. If I were to left click on that, it closes the application. But in terms of the functionality that I put into this so far, if I click on this button, it does nothing. It does nothing because I haven't set up the event handler for that button click event. So anytime you want to do something in response to users' actions or an event, you're going to have to write that code in there or handle it in some way. So I've closed this application. The way to do this is fairly simple. What you do is you set up in the XAML to listen for a particular event, and you tell it when this event occurs, call this function. What you then do in the code behind is you have to create the event handler, or the function that gets called when that event fires. Now you can do that all manually, but there is an easier way. You'll notice on the properties panel you have the spanner or wrench icon, and that's for sort of setting up the properties. Events are highlighted or are stored under this lightning bolt. So if you click on the lightning bolt, you'll see a list of all these different events. Now the top one at the top is the click event, which is probably the most used button event. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use a different one. By all means, these sometimes change depending on the element that you're using. So have a look down these. It's always a good idea to think, what do I want to achieve, and is there anything there that looks like the event I'm looking for? So mouse enter event. The mouse enter event gets fired when I enter the button's area on the screen. So as I move the mouse or the cursor over the top of the button. And I'm going to call it mouse enter event. Once I hit enter, it's going to create the XAML, enter it in here exactly the same as when we changed properties in the past, but it's also going to build the function or the event handler function. So there we go. It's actually moved us over to the XAML.cs file, and you see here it's created the mouse enter event function. Now, the reason why it's useful to use this method to build these is that the method signature, or the signature of this function, has to match the signature that the event expects to be passing it to. So in this instance, because it's a mouse enter event, it needs to be listening, or expects to give mouse event arguments. Okay. So what I'm going to do here, if we just pop back, if you remember from previous videos, I mentioned that the name is important if you want to be able to access this object from the code behind. So if I come here, it's called mobile, so we can actually change the value of mobile. And we'll make it very simple. First of all, we'll change the content property of the mobile object, and we'll set it to be clicked. If we now build this program, we should get, if we were to mouse over the button, it will fire this event. So it says button at the moment. I can come all around. As soon as I mouse over, it becomes clicked. In actual fact, there's also some built-in behavior where the button changes color as well on a mouse over. So clicked gets fired there. Thing is, once we've fired that, it stays the same every time, because every time you mouse over it again, it calls exactly the same function. It doesn't do anything different. So it may be useful for us just to put a condition in here. I'm going to use a simple if statement. In fact, I'm going to use an if else statement. And I'm going to change what the content is depending on what it was before. So we're going to say if mobile content is equal to clicked, set it to, if that's, so not equal here, not equal to clicked, set it to clicked, otherwise set it to clicked again. So if I build this program, if I mouse over, it now becomes clicked, mouse over again, clicked again, back to clicked, and so on. So it will cycle between those two. Now this is the case for any event handler you want to set up, and that's exactly how you should do it. Okay, come into the designer, enter or go onto the lightning bolt, select the event you want to listen for, put in the name of the function, hit enter, and have the Visual Studio build the rest of that for you.